All right, if you're an MSNBC viewer, you need to be deported. If you support their business, we don't want you here. How's that? MSNBC, they are making the country a worse place with their lies and their low IQs. We've got examples for you, and I think the problem could be easily solved by just tearing their bile off the air, deporting their anchors, and giving all of their viewers a final expatriation notice. I think that's fair, right? It's about as fair as whatever it is they call news. Joking, of course, but I'm not joking about the fact that they are polluting the airwaves with their conspiracy theories and their lies. And they are abusing the First Amendment to the point of literal incitement. The damage they are doing is quite serious. And quite honestly, we shouldn't even mock it because this country needs healing, not the malicious lies spread by MSNBC. So let's go through some of the examples. There's the one we told you about yesterday with Nicole Wallace saying Trump wants to exterminate Latinos.
You now have a president, as you said, talking about exterminating Latinos.
She just made that up. But if you're the average liberal who likes MSNBC, thinks Rachel Maddow is interesting, and you lean to the left and maybe, Fox News isn't for you, maybe BlazeTV isn't your jam, you take her at her word. After all, this is a woman who has paid lots of money to give you information and tell you the news, and she wouldn't just make something up off the top of her head that is completely false. And she knows that, and that is how conflict begins. When they spin the narrative, we have a president in the Oval Office who wants to exterminate people with brown skin. That terrifies people with brown skin. And then they see, well, my neighbor supports President Trump. My neighbor supports a man who wants to commit genocide against all of Latinos. My neighbor is a Nazi. That's what MSNBC is causing people to think, and it turns people against each other because you might not be on Twitter 24/7, and therefore you might not have happened to catch Nicole Wallace's tweet that contained her little half-assed apology for making something up out of the blue. And the network, they made no effort to make her give an on-air apology or suspend her from the air or even fire her, which is what they should have done. And in fact, that comment from Nicole Wallace is not even the worst that went out on their polluted air. You also had this clown, so-called security analyst, Malcolm Nance, say this.
We're overdue for a Breivik-style real massacre of a political nature. And as Cynthia said, these people feel that they are the foot soldiers and executors of what the disenfranchisement that the white race is feeling, and Donald Trump is giving them subliminal orders in their head.
The old wink, wink, nod, nod argument. Oh, there's actually nothing there. We don't actually have any facts to back it up. Nothing Donald Trump did or said is actually white supremacist or racist, so it must be something that we can't detect. It must be something under the surface, because we can't actually show you what he said that's racist. So it's subliminal. Then you had Mika the Freaka Brzezinski saying Donald Trump is actually in favor of these mass shootings. By the way, all of these clips that we're showing you are just within the past couple of days. It's not like we combed through months and years of footage. Watch this one.
I mean, this is a president who seems to want these things to happen. How else can this be explained if he doesn't call it off?
Well, he's got to call it off,
but he's not going to.
He did call it off, and he called for unity, but you would not know that he called for unity if you're relying on the fake news. You would not know that he called for unity if you got a later copy of the New York Times, because after pressure, the New York Times changed their objective headline. It used to be, Trump urges unity versus racism, which is exactly what he did. But then the libs got upset, and so New York Times, they caved and they changed it to Trump assails hate, but not guns, and guns, as we all know, are the real problem. They changed the headline after pressure from AOC and other liberals who made a racket. You're not making Trump look racist enough. You're making him sound like he's actually doing what he's supposed to be doing in the wake of a mass shooting. You're not making him look like a Nazi, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. Remember? You have to do what MSNBC does. They never stray from message, which is why when Trump lowers the flag to half staff, they twist it into some kind of Nazi dog whistle. This one is truly astonishing, from MSNBC contributor Frank Figliuzzi.
So it's the little things and language and messaging that matters. The president said that we will fly our flags at half-mast until August 8th. That's 8/8. Now, I'm not going to imply that he did this deliberately, but I am using it as an example of the ignorance of the adversary that's being demonstrated by the White House. The numbers 8/8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement. Why? Because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and to them, the numbers 8/8 together stand for Heil Hitler.
I mean, you want to talk about red flag laws? I mean, that guy. I mean, what in the actual hell was that? What is going on at that network? Trump lowering the flag is actually a dog whistle to Nazis who want to say Heil Hitler? Of course, didn't you know? It's MSNBC. Lean forward. You didn't know that that was a Nazi dog whistle? No, of course you didn't, because you aren't Nazis. In fact, no one you know is a Nazi. I don't know any Nazis, and chances are you don't either, and yet we are being told that they are infiltrating every level of our society, and in particular, the Trump administration. No, these people are nuts. These people are creating a conspiracy because they do not have a shred of evidence that Donald Trump is a racist, and so they have to concoct one in order to terrify their viewers. And that is exactly why you keep hearing this lie repeated over and over again.
When Donald Trump made the statement about good people on both sides, there was a person that had been killed in Charlottesville.
The both sides comment that he made, the notion that there are good people on both sides, that is the heart of Donald Trump.
He was hailing the white nationalists and saying that there are good people on both sides.
No, he was not hailing the white nationalists. Everybody knows he was talking about the people who wanted to protest historic statues being torn down. He was not talking about the Nazis chanting, "Jews will not replace us," with the tiki torches. That is not who he was talking about. He was clear about it. It's a total lie. They have to lie about it to spin their conspiracies. If Donald Trump was such a white supremacist, you would not have to make stuff up to make him appear as one. And yet they do, and that's why you heard all of the literal lies we just played for you. And you know, if you're just an average American, you might come across these conspiracies, you might be watching the news and think they are actually telling you the truth. And that is how you sow discord. And they know that, and that is precisely what they're doing at that network. So be discerning, be aware, America, because you cannot rely on the news media to tell you the truth. And I know there's those of you out there saying, well, we've always known that they were biased. This is nothing new. No, bias is different than agents of chaos. What we just showed you is even worse than CNN. CNN, you know, they make stuff up, we laugh at it. No, MSNBC hit a whole new low this week because they are seriously and maliciously harming the discourse at a time where the country is so clearly in a volatile state. It's an abuse of free speech, and they need to stop soon before it's too late.